Hello, everyone, and welcome to our fourth episode in our Linux series. Now, in our prior episode, we went over device configuration and management, simply in terms of identifying devices with LSUSB, LSPCI, and using LMOD to identify drivers on our system, and understanding exactly in that episode how the drivers and devices work together. We also went over a little bit about blacklisting and creating a shell script. In particular, with the blacklisting, we went into a file and I showed how you could potentially through that file and then manually edit it to add and remove black or to blacklist certain drivers. And this is relevant, because even if you remove a driver, it may still be loaded in by default depending on your configuration, and that's where blacklisting comes in because it by default will not be initiated even if it is initiated by default. So in this episode today, I like to go over with you how to add modules, remove modules, and get module information through various commands. And also, I'm going to be going over a package that I think will be useful in your development through the terminal and in Linux. So let's go ahead and get started today. As you can see, I have my virtual machine pulled up. And the first command I like to go over today in the terminal is mod info. Now, what is mod info? Well, mod info, simply put, gives you information about the module, such as the author, the license of that module, such as if it's under GPL or, common, like different licenses that are available to you, such as even if it's a proprietary license, it lets you know if you're able to use that module. And sometimes with proprietary modules, you're not able to edit them or go into them or make any changes with them. But typically, the open source ones are available for you to make edits or contribute towards if you're interested in that sort of thing. So let's go ahead and learn about mod info. And we're going to be using the manual command, man mod info. As you can see, it is exactly as I said. It provides a description about the Linux kernel module, or it shows information. And you also can use different parameters. You could use -v to get the mod info version. You could, as we scroll down, you could filter by the particular, argument or the attribute available for that module and learn about that information. So like author, the license, etc. So let's go ahead and hit Q here. And now that we looked at the command to learn more about it, let's go ahead and use mod info. Now, in order to use mod info, we need to use a command from the prior episode, which is lsmod. So let's go ahead and use lsmod here. And as you can see, we have an assortment of modules or drivers that we can choose to add ourselves. So let's go ahead and here we're going to use mod info. And you know what, actually before we do this, let me go over another command real quick, because I want to show you how I can filter these search results to find what I'm interested in. Now, let's say you were interested in your USB modules. Well, there's a command called grep, and let's go over that real quick. We use manual grep, and as you can see, it prints lines that match patterns. Essentially what this is saying is that it shows the output based on the input similar patterns. And in this case, if you give it a string, it will output all the items from the contents that you give it and show all the strings that it could find. So let me show you exactly what I mean here. And this is a special command that you could use in a pipe operation, which means we can pipe the lsmod command, the output from it, and we can give it to grep. And now if you typed it like this, it wouldn't really do anything, but if you add a string, for example, let's say, we wanted to get the video modules, and then we could see all the modules that come up in the video. Now, what if we wanted to learn about the sound modules? Well, we could do sound here, or actually it's SND for the module. You can see we get all the sound modules. So this command is very useful for filtering information. We're going to be using it throughout this episode and future episodes as well. So let's go ahead and continue, and we're going to use mod info on one of the commands that we received. So let's go ahead and use it on this sound module. Let's do it on sound core, since that is dependent, or the sound module is dependent on the sound core. So we'll do mod info. And if you look here, I'm going to go ahead and clear this window. If you use mod info, error, missing module or file name, you need to have a parameter here, in this case a module from which you're trying to get info from. So let's do mod info sound, or sound core, since that was the one we wanted to look at. And as you can see, we get some output here, we could see things like I mentioned, there's the location of the file that in the system that has the driver, has an alias, a license, GPL, you have the author. Sometimes these authors have extensions and you can reach out to them via email. It gives a description. It's the core sound module. Now that's interesting. It also says the name of it in case that wasn't already clear through what we typed in. Now let's go ahead and use mod info on another module. This time we'll do ls mod and we'll grep. We'll see about our USB modules. So modules that use USB devices. You can see USB HID. Now let's go ahead and mod info USB HID to learn more about it. Now we're going to scroll up and look at that. It's just the core driver for the USB HID, and we got the license, you got the author. I mean, this one has multiple authors, so sometimes they'll have multiple authors. Let's go ahead and clear it, and we're going to use it one more time. Let's do ls mod, and then we're going to do grep with the video that we had pulled up before. Now we can see the video. So let's go ahead and do ls mod on the video. So we're going to do, oh, I don't mean ls mod, I mean mod info on video. Now if we scroll up, you could see some more information, such as it's the ACPI video driver and it's under this license. Now some of these modules, when you get information about them, might seem complex, but the whole point of this demonstration is to show you can get more information about these modules and use that to your advantage. You could do more research on them. You could even work on them. You know where they're located. We could see that it's located in the kernel drivers with it's ACPI video module. So you could see so many things here, and even the dependencies. If you're removing a module, you want to know about its dependencies. So that's why we're going over this command before we add or remove modules, because you really want to know what that module is dependent on and what it's used for. Because if you just haphazardly remove a module, next thing you know, your system might not be working because you removed a core module in your system. Now let's go ahead and continue here. Now another command I like to go over with you guys is going to be mod probe. And actually in the last episode we went over mod probe a little bit, but the file. And essentially a UDEV, which is a background service, automatically matches with modprobe the device and the driver, and it puts them together so that they seamlessly work on your experience. So if you have like a Linux desktop, you're plugging in like a monitor, a keyboard, a graphics card, like a video camera, like it's gonna automatically assign the driver to that device based on the modules that are already in the system, and that's how it all works in the background. So you could, like I said, seamlessly use these different devices. So in this case, we're going to learn about modprobe with the command, not the file. So let's do manual modprobe. And like I said, look, it says add or remove modules from the Linux kernel, and it gives you some options here. Like with -a, I could do modprobe -a, and then you could type a bunch of commands. Like you could do sound, SND, then you could do sound core, then you could do video, and it'll add all those drivers, as parameters. Like you'll just have a space in between them. You could add all those drivers at once. You could blacklist drivers through modprobe, which is similar to the files that we looked at before when it comes to blacklisting and the modprobe folder. So you could scroll down here and it gives you a little bit more information. There's even the remove that we mentioned, like you could remove modules. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So let's do ls mod again. And you know what, there's actually a particular module that I'd like to remove. So we'll do ls mod, and then we'll grep. We're going to use, let's see, we'll just type I. So there's a lot of results here. This is the one I wanted. And actually, it's just at the top of the list. So I could have really just scrolled up, but I'm just trying to make more use of this, and I couldn't remember the exact numbers. So as we can see, it says I915. Now let's go ahead and do some mod info on this module. Now why? Because you always want to know about the module you're removing before you remove it. So let's go ahead and do mod info, and then, you know what, I'll actually, real quick, we're going to clear the terminal. We'll do ls mod. See, and this is where the grep comes into play, where it's useful, because I know it said, I think it said I915. And see, we have multiple options come up, but this is the one that we're interested in. We want to remove this. Now keep in mind, this has dependencies. You know, these modules are using this module, but I know for a fact that in this episode I can remove this module and re-add it, and there won't be any issues. So I can show you guys in this demonstration. Now let's do mod info, because like I said, you always want to know about the module before you start making changes. So do mod info I915. And if we scroll up, this list is a bit more extensive than the prior ones. Let's go ahead and use the scroll. Now it says Intel graphics. Now in this virtualized environment, I don't think I'm using Intel graphics. I think I'm actually using AMD graphics. And as you can see, actually I will explicitly say I had added this module beforehand so I could use this as a demonstration, because I didn't want to start removing modules, especially with virtualized software, because I don't know what the consequences would be. And this is a machine that I want to run for a while in this series with you guys and show you various commands and how to manage your machines. So, you know, as we can see, this is the Intel graphics module, but we don't need it because it's currently using the AMD module for graphics. So let's go ahead and clear. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove this module, and then we're going to add it back. And this is just to show you guys in the demonstration exactly how to do it. So in this particular case, you may want to run sudo. I would not recommend having your default account as sudo. I'd recommend having a separate account as sudo, or requiring a password every time you enter the command. So let's go ahead and give it a try. Sudo modprobe. And now if we did -r, now we're removing a module. But without the -r, we're adding a module. And you could do -a, like I said, and add like module 1, module 2, etc. So in this case, we're just removing a module. We're going to remove the I915 module. Now notice there aren't results. And like I said, you know, you might want to have your sudo account as a separate account. I do not have that because this is a recently set up virtual machine. And I'd recently used a sudo command, so that's why it's not prompting for the password. But I do recommend having those accounts separate, because it's very easy to accidentally wipe your whole system with the remove command and you don't necessarily mean to. Now let's go ahead and check, you know, through lsmod. We'll grab the results of our lsmod and we'll check for the I915 module. And notice nothing comes up. We have removed the I915 module, and the modules that are dependent on it no longer are using it because it's wiped from the system. Now, this is just a way to verify that it's currently removed. Now, if you want to add it, like I said, I don't think you need sudo maybe to add it in this case, since I already have the sudo enabled. Let's go ahead and do modprobe I915. No, yeah, so you do need sudo no matter what. So let's do sudo modprobe I915. And we don't really see anything here, but if I hit up on my keyboard twice, or 3 times, and there it is again, we can see that it came right back. So what are we learning in this episode? Well, we learned how to learn about your modules. We learned how to, you know, maybe like figure about the author, the license the module is under, you know, information about your system and the modules associated with it. Then we found out how to add and remove modules. So we're using the modinfo command, the modprobe command, and also the grep command in order to filter output. So you get a lot of output, and even in prior episodes we could have used this, but I'm trying to just teach you guys a few commands for each episode, and that's what I wanted to teach you guys today. So you could filter, as we saw, you could filter all the results by a string. And a string is just a series of characters if you're unfamiliar with the term. and this is the output. So one more thing before I let you guys off that I'd like to show you guys, and this is something that I have found very useful, and I think you will too. So let's go ahead and clear up the terminal. And something that I'd like to introduce you guys to is package management. Now, let me do apt. Now, apt for me is my package manager. And for you, it could be yum, it could be DNF. It depends on the distribution you're using. But a lot of the commands are the same. So let me go ahead and do apt list. And we're actually going to grab a particular package. And the package that I want to grab is the one that I installed earlier, so I can show you guys. We'll just type bash. So we're grabbing the package list through grep. Or we're grabbing the package list and we're outputting it to grep and grabbing bash packages. So as we can see, these are all our packages that have bash incorporated in the name. And this is actually the package that I would like to show you guys today, that I would like to help you install so you could use it. So essentially, sorry, I thought I heard a noise. So basically how we're going to do it here is we're going to do apt list. So I can just show you guys like how many packages. There are a bunch of packages on your system, you know. As you could saw when we typed apt list and then we grabbed the bash string, you know, and honestly it's very extensive. Like it's not even letting me scroll up past it. That's how many packages there are. So that's another reason to go over that command in this episode, because I don't even know if I could show you guys that package without that command. So let's go ahead and clear the terminal. We're going to hit up a few times so we could grab the package again. So it's the bash completion package. Now if you're downloading, updating, or removing packages, you might want to be running commands in sudo, because otherwise you may not have the permissions for it. So let's go ahead and give it a try. We're going to do sudo, we're going to do apt, it's going to be install, and then we're going to do bash completion. Now if you're using a different package manager here like yum or DNF, like I said, depending on your distribution, you can just replace apt with your related package manager. So, you know, here it could be yum or it could be DNF, but you should be able to type in this exact command with those swapped out and it'll still have the same result. Now let me hit enter and let me show you what will happen. And look at that, it gives us some information. You know, it says 0 upgraded and 0 newly installed, 0 to remove. Now the reason it says that is because I already have bash completion installed, and you can see that by here. It says bash completion is already the newest version, so we know we already have the newest version of this package. Now I know I've been going on and on about this package. Let me show you guys what it does. So, you know, as I mentioned earlier, you know, if you have a command and you're unsure about it, you know, let's type mod. If I hit tab twice, this is the package that lets you check, you know, with tab completion. You know, you could do it even with files or folders. It just gives you the results that it thinks you could be trying to type in. So let me do ls and then we'll do tab. You know, these are all commands that would be after ls. So we could see like, oh, I know it's ls something, but I don't know what it is. Well, you know, we haven't even gone over ls CPU. Let's go ahead and go over that right now. We'll go ahead and remove that a little bit, CPU. And see, this is a great way to explore and learn about commands. Like here, we could already learn about how this is actually what my processor is. You know, that's actually the architecture that it's on, you know. Because even though it's emulating, it's actually able to emulate it correctly. You know, we could see we got cores per socket, 4. And then we got 1 socket. So it's 4 cores, 1 socket. You know, there's a lot of information you could learn here. Let's go ahead and clear again. And for example, you could do ch and hit tab a couple times. And now we have multiple commands, you know, change group. So you can change what groups a user is assigned to. You know, change ownership. You could change who owns what resource on your system. So this is a great way, like if you can't remember or you're unsure, you can use this package and it streamlines your ability to find out what you need to know in order to make a difference in your, you know, your everyday task-to-task management in the terminal. So thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. I hope that you have had the chance, you know, with LSMod, LSUSB, LSPCI to find out what devices are on your machine and how they're connected, as well as the drivers already installed on your machine. And then today we went over how to, check those modules, get information about them, add, delete. And I didn't blacklist anything, but you could extrapolate from this lesson how to blacklist. And now we went over a package that could even show you more commands that, puts them all right at your fingertips, even commands that you might not have known before. You could use manual on any one of these commands and learn about them. So thank you guys so much once again, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing you guys in the next episode. See you then.